Hello everyone out there, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel and to today's video. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 4 really easy dinner recipes that I have been wanting to share with you for several weeks now, and I finally have them ready to go in a video today, as well as on my blog as well. I'll leave links below to each of the individual recipes so you can get the full recipe details. But these are truly great recipes, dinner recipes for the weeknight, like a weekday, when you don't necessarily want to cook something that's going to take a ton of time or requires a whole ton of ingredients. These are really quite easy to make, so they're perfect for weeknights, and they're just so tasty, and they're wholesome and nutritious as well, of course. These are some of my favorite recipes, and I hope that you enjoy them. Let's get started. So starting off with this sun-dried tomato and spinach pasta. This is the easiest recipe in the world to make. You're gonna need half a cup of some sun-dried tomatoes. I like to buy mine in a jar. Some garlic, you'll need some feta cheese for topping, olive oil, and spinach, and also some salt and pepper as well. And then the noodles that I like to use are fusilli noodles for this. I'm using a brown rice pasta, but you can use whichever pasta that you like. So we're just gonna start by adding our olive oil to a pan and sauteing up our garlic. You do want, quite a bit of olive oil, just because that's the base really of the recipe and the sauce. So about a quarter cup of that or so, and stir in that garlic, let it saute for a few minutes, and then you're just gonna add your spinach, let that wilt down, which happens pretty quickly, and then you can toss in some sun-dried tomatoes. And honestly, this is basically it for the sauce. I'm gonna add some salt and pepper to this as well to season it. And pretty much what you're waiting for is just the noodles to boil. And once they're done, after 10 minutes or so, you can just mix it all together. And that is literally it. It's actually so flavorful considering how simple it is. At this point, you could also add in some hemp seeds if you want to, optionally, just for some extra protein. Or you could eat this with a side of grilled chicken breast or add in some chicken breast to make it a little more satiating. But that's it. You're gonna add it to a bowl, and then you can top it with some feta cheese, which is just so good. It just adds that extra bit of flavor on the top, and there you have it, a really simple pasta that probably takes less than 15 minutes to make. Next, we have this beef and broccoli stir fry, also very simple to make. You're gonna need some tamari or soy sauce, avocado oil, toasted sesame oil, garlic and ginger, broccoli, some whole grain brown rice I'm using here, as well as a pound of beef. I'm using just some pre-cut beef strips here. So we're gonna add our avocado oil to the pan here. This is about 3 tablespoons or so. Lots of garlic, fresh ginger, give that a mix around, and then we can add in our beef and just let that cook up nicely. Once the beef has browned, we're gonna add in our soy sauce here and our toasted sesame oil, and we're gonna let that cook up for another few minutes. Meanwhile, I'm gonna chop up some broccoli here. I like to chop it up pretty small, so you have little small pieces, not giant chunks of broccoli. That's the way that I like to do it. And then we're just gonna add that directly to the pan. And at this point, all we're waiting for is the rice to finish cooking, and just to let the broccoli cook for just a few minutes. Doesn't take long at all. So I'm just gonna pop a lid on there, let it steam a little bit. I've got my brown rice here that's been cooking for about half an hour or so. And now all I'm gonna do is add this to the pan, and just gonna give it a full mix around all together, and that is literally it. A very easy stir fry. Sometimes I like to add frozen peas to this too. You could totally add some peas or any other type of veggie that you would like to, but that is basically it. Such a simple and tasty stir fry. There is nothing like the combination of ginger and garlic and soy sauce, and especially that little bit of toasted sesame oil just really rounds out the flavors. It's really tasty. Next up, we have this chickpea curry, another favorite of mine, so flavorful. So for this recipe, you're gonna need some canned tomatoes, coconut milk, some chickpeas, vegetable broth, basmati rice, as well as some garlic and ginger. And the spices that I like to use for this are just a garam masala blend and just a curry powder mixture. Sometimes I will add in some additional turmeric and cumin, but I do find that the blend mixtures there are sufficient and add a nice flavor. So we're gonna start by adding some olive oil to my big Dutch oven here, just a big pot. Add in my garlic and ginger, give that a nice stir around to saute it up a bit, and then we're gonna add in our spices here, our seasonings. And then we can add in some of our canned goods here. So we got our tomatoes, and we're also gonna add in some coconut milk, which mine exploded everywhere when I was trying to do this. Give that a nice stir around, let it melt a little bit, let that coconut milk melt a bit, and then you're gonna add in some vegetable broth here. You could also use water, but I find the broth just adds that little bit of extra flavor. I'm also going to season this really well with a good amount of salt and pepper. I do like my things kind of nice and salty, especially a curry. And I'm just giving my chickpeas a really quick rinse here, and then I'm just gonna toss those into the pan. And that's it. This is really just like a very easy one pot kind of meal to make. It's pretty easy. So you're gonna let that simmer for about 45 minutes or so. You want it to reduce a bit to thicken. And in the meantime, I'm just gonna cook up some basmati rice. This doesn't take too long to cook. Once our curry has thickened really nicely, it's mostly done cooking, I'm just adding in a couple big handfuls of baby spinach toward the very end, just for an extra 5 minutes or so that they can get a little bit wilted. And as you can see, the sauce thickens up really, really nicely. And now we can serve it with some rice, and also delicious with a side of some naan bread. You could do a garlic naan bread. You could also top this with some fresh cilantro, is delicious. And there you have it. I promise you this recipe is so tasty. It is so, so good. Very, very flavorful. And also just very easy to make. Like, you really just throw things into a pot, let them simmer, and you're good to go. All right, and lastly, we're making some roasted root vegetables and sausage with a really yummy tahini sauce. So for this, you're just using a variety of root veggies that you like. I have Brussels sprouts, turnip, carrots, beets, potato, and then also some Italian sausages. So chopping up your veggies, again, you can really use, like, if there's any other particular kind of root vegetable that you want to use, you could totally do that. But this is kind of the combination that I like to use. Once you've chopped them all up, you're just gonna add it to a nice big baking sheet, and we're gonna drizzle it with some olive oil so that it can roast up nicely, as well as some salt and pepper. And I like to use rosemary typically for this, but you could also do fennel seeds, would be really flavorful. You could do a little bit of dried thyme. That would also be really, really tasty. So once we've kind of mixed this all around really nicely, make sure it's well coated with the oil and the seasonings, we're just gonna pop that into the oven at 400 degrees for about 45 minutes or so until they're nice and toasty. So in the meantime, I'm gonna cook up these sausages here, just making sure that they're well cooked. And once they are cooked, I'm going to slice them up into just little, bite-sized slices. And then we're gonna add them back into the pan. And to that, we're gonna take our roasted vegetables out of the oven and add them into the pan. And as you can see, they're nice and brown. Some of them are a little bit caramelized, really, really tasty. This is probably one of my favorite ways actually to cook vegetables, is roasting them. Roasted veggies are just so easy to do. And then we can just serve it just like that. Very, very simple. Now, optionally, you can make a really easy tahini sauce to go on top. You can just drizzle a little bit on top. You don't have to use the tahini sauce. I don't always make it, but I find it is just a nice extra flavor to go on top. So this is just made with garlic and tahini, lemon juice, water, and some salt. Really easy to make, and you just sort of whisk that up. And there you go, drizzle it on top. Super, super easy. So that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you will give one of these recipes a try. I hope that you enjoy them. Full recipes, again, can be found on my blog. Links are below for you in the description box, so you can read through them if you would like to. And that is it. I'll see you all in the next one.